Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Monday. It is the 14th day of February 2022. I hope you're healthy and COVID free today and that you and your family are also healthy and COVID free. Happy Monday. I hope that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met. I hope you had a good weekend as well. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, trying on a daily basis to save lives. Blessings upon those also that pick up garbage for us to keep our streets and our sidewalks clean. Blessings also upon those that make deliveries for our convenience, and double blessings for the men and women out in the world trying to save, rescue, and deliver the adults, the teenagers, the toddlers, the babies, the boys and girls from the clutches of sex slavery operations, human trafficking, from being the victims of prostitution and child prostitution, and the victims of pornography and child pornography, and the victims of child molestation and pedophilia. Blessings upon those trying to help and rescue these victims, and blessings upon the victims themselves, and double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts that traffic in human misery and take advantage of these human beings in the worst way possible. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children in the United States of America, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom, and those trying to help. There was a basketball game this past weekend. The New York Knicks got beat by the Portland Trailblazers, 112-103. And I've seen a lot of drama of people being very upset because the Knicks had over a 20-point lead during the course of the game. I think they had it in the third quarter, which is generally their worst quarter. And they ended up losing the basketball game. Now, couple things. What happened? And generally, now, first of all, let me just say, this is not the first time the Knicks squandered a lead and another team beat them. It's not the first time this has happened this year. It's happened multiple times. We all know that. Okay. Now, in the beginning of the year when it was happening, I was saying also, let's give Tom Thibodeau's crew some time to gel, right? 20, 30 games we were thinking. And also another issue that we have seen all year, I think we can agree, is we started off this year understanding that we had a deep team. We have a talented, deep team. And one of the frustrations we have had is that the coach has not utilized that depth, but instead has gone with shorter rotations with veterans. Okay. Which is not surprising to us because we know Tom Thibodeau does that. But the length to which he will go to not play his rookies and the talent that he has in the youth on the team has been a problem. It has been a problem all year. And okay, let's compare the Knicks, for example, just as a matter of example. Let's compare the Knicks to, let's say, Chicago. The Chicago Bulls, okay, who are one of the surprise teams, right, in the NBA this year. Now, Chicago starting five is what they mostly use. They go deep in the bench. My point here is that their starting five has proven to be top three in the East, right? I mean, they've beaten all the best teams. They've gone on winning streaks. They've played through injuries, and now they got Lonzo Ball is hurt. But my point is that starting unit that they had with Ball and company has proven to be better than most teams. Right? Same with Milwaukee, right? They've done the same thing. Same with Charlotte, who's up and coming. I mean, all of these teams we are seeing, up and coming teams, their starting units and their team in general, their bench and their starting unit has proven. Cleveland Cavaliers, now that's probably the real surprise team in the whole NBA this year. The Cleveland Cavaliers, 35-24-22. Their starting unit, plus whoever they play off the bench, they have proven to be top three in the East. Here they are at third in the East, right? 2 games back of first place Miami. So, but the Knicks that starting unit and the backup team that they use has proven to be the 12th best team in the East, right? So it's not like, we're waiting for any more ceiling here. You've seen it. That's it. So it's not like they're going to get any better this year. What I'm saying is you're seeing the best of this team right now. Let's be real. That's what you're seeing. Now, the Knicks are on a path at let's say 44% winning percentage. All right, it's not 500, it's a 44% winning percentage, which means if you play that over 82 games, they're going to win between 35 and 36 games this year. Okay, that's what they're going to do. Now, if that's the case, we understand that's not good enough. Not to be playing these veterans like this. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. It would be good enough in year 2 of a rebuild if we were focusing on the young 23 and under players that we had. But that's not the case. Thibodeau's putting out these vets that he put all his trust in. And they 12th in the East. Okay? We're lottery bound at this point. Okay? So, games like the Golden State Warrior game, they're capable of that. But because they are not good enough like the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Chicago Bulls or the Miami Heat or the Milwaukee Bucks or the Philadelphia 76ers, because they're not in that class, they will not consistently win like that. You're going to see flashes of it. Okay? And we've been seeing that all year. We'll see flashes of greatness, from that starting unit, especially Kemba. They were going all cylinders third quarter, but they do not sustain leads. That is a sign of a sub 500 team, or at best a 500 team. Generally, like I said, teams that will get out in front and threaten you and then give back the lead at the end, those are young teams that do that. Those are teams that your Houston Rockets, with a whole bunch of rookies on it, that will do something like that. Or your Detroit Pistons. Detroit has been toe-to-toe with every team in the league this year, no matter how good they are. They had every team in the league on the ropes at some point, but would give up the leads in the fourth or third quarter because they're a young team. The Knicks are playing like a young team with veterans. Okay? That we have to look at this as the real right now. Now, what does this mean? Now, some people commented, didn't understand why I was so disappointed at the trade deadline because they got Cam Reddish. Y'all got to pay closer attention. Okay? Getting Cam Reddish is great. Cam Reddish is a legit number one option talent. And if properly developed, that's the key here, he could be a star. Okay? But Tibbs came out and said we have a rotation. Which is told us right then he's not playing Cam Reddish unless somebody breaks off the rotation. That's the problem. Now, some say Tibbs is the problem. I say it's Tibbs and the front office. If you're the front office and you understand the situation with the number of youth players that you have, why are you giving him all these veterans to play? Because you know he's going to do that. You know he's going to do that. That's like sending a wino to the bar and say, don't drink. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's stupid. So yeah, I guess the Don made a mistake there. Major mistake. So this has got to be fixed. That's why we thought at the trade deadline, see, some people were like saying, and I thought they would actually be able to make these trades without giving up draft capital. I thought they would. I thought they'd be able to get rid of Alec Burks, and Kemba Walker without giving up draft capital. I really thought so, because I thought Fournier, because of the longer term deal, maybe he'd have to give up some draft capital. But this is the thing, y'all. The Knicks got 1 million second round picks. We got a lot of second round picks. And we have now still a lot of first round. We have all of our own first round picks, plus the Dallas pick that we got coming next year. So, I mean, unless they're holding out for some big fish, which I don't understand why they're not going to get that. And I'll talk about that in a second. But, They could have given up second round picks for all of these guys and got rid of them. So that's why I was disappointed. I don't understand what they were doing. I still don't. Okay, at this point. And I'm not, maybe there's something going on. I don't know everything. I'm not in the front office. I don't know whether the deals are being made. I don't believe everything Mark Berman writes. So I don't necessarily believe everything he's saying about what he thinks is going on. Some of it I believe is true, but some of it is BS. I've seen Mark Berman's writing for 20 years. That's been his MO. He writes stuff for clicks. Now, some of it is true. Some of it is BS. Okay. And so I consider it BS unless it passes my smell test. Some of it does, some of it don't. But I don't know what's going on in the front office. Okay. I do know there's obviously a clash between Thibodeau and Leon Rose. It's not hard to see there's a clash there. Because Kemba Walker is not his type of player. And actually, Evan Fournier is not his type of player. I believe Evan Fournier mentioned during his opening press conference that Tibbs talked to Steve Clifford. And he was saying how Tibbs remind him of Steve Clifford. Steve Clifford probably gave Fournier the okay to Thibodeau, but Thibodeau not into European players. He think they soft. He keeps telling us, he like tough. He wants toughness, and he don't consider European players tough. Well, and to be quite honest with you, and I love Frank Ntilikina, but it's proven he's not tough enough in terms of staying on the court. Neither is Kristaps Porzingis. Neither is Luka Doncic. They all get hurt a lot. So maybe he's right. I can't front. But so he gives him these two guys that's not his type of guys, right? He trades or he lets go Reggie Bullock, which was a Tibbs do all the way. And he did it for $10 million to sign. And that's the thing. When it comes down to it, he let Reggie Bullock walk because of $10 million. And he signed Fournier to guarantee $54 million. Now that was a little strange. So Bullock wanted 3 guaranteed years at $10 million per. Okay. Leon was willing to give him 2 at $10 million and a 3rd-year team option, which he will never see. So then he signs Evan Fournier to 3 guaranteed years at $54 million. And I'm not saying Evan Fournier can't play, but are you telling me Evan Fournier is playing at a level of $24 million better than Bullock? I mean, I'm saying he has the ability to be better than Bullock, but his defense ain't Bullock's. So looking back on it, we could see that was a bit of a faux pas. No pun intended. But now there's a clash in the front office because, Tibbs wants to do one thing and Leon wants to do another. Now, let me tell you something. Leon wins that one. Hands down. If that's a battle between Leon and Tibbs, Tibbs loses. Leon got the keys to the organization from Dolan. Okay? So he's running this thing the way he wants to. The only problem is at this point, let's look at this. Just look at this again. They fired Derek Fisher. I think he was in his 2nd year. And they had to pay him for the next 2 or 3 years. Okay? They hired David Fizdale for 4 years. They fired him in his 2nd year. They had to pay him for 2 more years. Coaches gonna get their money, just like the players. Okay? They hired Phil Jackson for 4 years, $60 million. Okay? They fired him in his 2nd year. They still had to pay him $30 million. All right? They hired Tom Thibodeau for 4 years. This is his 2nd year. If you fire him, you're still paying him. That's a very big consideration that most fans don't take into consideration. It ain't like, I'm not saying Dolan ain't rich. Obviously he is, but even millionaires don't want to just throw away millions. That would be on Leon. See? So that's where Leon is on the hot seat. But as far as a power struggle between Leon and Tibbs, this is no struggle. Leon wins that. All right, he wins. Period. Now, and as far as having, as Berman mentioned, too many Indians in the kitchen or cooks in the kitchen, whatever, and too many people wanting to make too many decisions, Leon can fix that too. Real quick. Real quick. So, this is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. The loss to the Portland Trailblazers was disappointing, but not surprising if you look at the overall picture. Disappointing, not surprising. Like I said, a team like the Knicks, what you can expect if they continue, which I think they will, one way or another, on this type of trajectory for the rest of the season, they're going to, at every 5 games, they'll win 2 and lose 3. Okay, every 5 games, they'll win 2 and lose 3. That is what you're going to see, pretty much. Sometimes they'll win 3 and lose 2, but most times they're going to lose 3 and win 2. Like 43, 44% winning percentage. You're going to see 35, 36 wins this year. Okay. So now, I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen. Okay. So now the Knicks have played 57 games. Okay. 57 games. There's an 82 game schedule, right? When they get to, I'm going to give it 5 more games. And if I'm saying what I'm saying is true, like in other words, if they go 2 and 3 in the next 5 or worse, you're going to see Deuce McBride starting at point guard. You're going to see either Grimes or Cam starting at the 2 guard. Okay. And it's not going to be Tibbs' decision. That's what you're going to see. I don't know what's going to happen at that point. I don't want to put pressure on Deuce or on Cam or on Grimes because it's not their fault. They've been sitting. I mean, especially Cam and Deuce sitting all year. So they're going to take time to gel. But they'll get that experience. That's what you're going to see because it wouldn't make any sense to continue playing these veterans and them losing like that for a couple of reasons. Number one, you're already, by virtue of how the Knicks played up until now, to the trade deadline, you're losing value. You're losing value. Okay? And so you don't want to continue to lose value by exposing these guys, as sub 500 players. That's number one, especially the 3 we're talking about, Burks, Kemba, and Fournier. And Noel as well. Nerlens Noel. You don't want to lose too much more. And why go 43% winning percentage, 44% winning percentage? You could do that with the rookies, but you could do that with the youth. Right? And you want to get them some time. You guys are ineffective. You already seen what they got. Okay, like I said, you've seen what they got. It's been 57 games. They're 44% winning percentage. That's what they are. Okay? So, now, if Tibbs pushes back, some of y'all going to get your wish. He'll be another coach that lasts 2 years. Johnny Bryant will be the new head coach. They already got Johnny Bryant groomed. I think they set that up as a default. What do I mean by that? Look at his title from the beginning. Associate head coach. He was groomed in the Utah system. Okay? And so he's been groomed to be a head coach. And he might have had some offers to be a head coach, but he came to the Knicks. And he came as an associate head coach. So I think it's the default. Like, in other words, if they fire Thibodeau, he's automatically the coach now. And I have no idea. I mean, zero of what Johnny Bryant's system would be, about how his rotations would be. I have no idea. There are certain coaches we know how they would run, like, because they've been head coaches before. But it's very difficult when you get a guy that's never been a head coach. And I'm thinking of the nightmare that was David Fizdale. And then the nightmare before that was Derek Fisher. You don't know what to expect. You can say, oh, well, they come up in a good system. Well, so did David Fizdale. He come up in the Miami system. And he can't head coach. He's not a head coach. Okay, he just is not. So I hope Johnny Bryant is ready if that happens. because I have no idea what to expect. All you guys were clamoring for Mark Jackson, and I'm trying to tell you, stop wasting your breath. He's blackballed. He's not going to coach in the NBA again unless he decides to become an assistant coach, and he's too proud to do that. And I don't blame him. But forget Mark Jackson. He's not coming. And then Kenny Atkinson. That was my first choice too. At least we know what he's going to do. He's proven it with the Nets. Both of those guys have proven what they would do because you've seen they work already. You know what they're going to do. Okay. So that's where we're at. It's going to be very interesting. So Tibbs is not going to want to play the young guys. Leon is going to tell him to do that. How Tibbs reacts is going to tell us what's going forward. I personally think Tibbs is just going to be a good soldier. He's going to whine about it, but he's going to do it. And the reason I think that is because he's been wanting a Knicks job for 20 years. He's been wanting to be head coach for the Knicks for a long time. And I don't think he's stupid enough or even stubborn enough to lose it over something like this. Okay. So I'm thinking Tibbs will make it and that he will end up doing against his MO, for lack of a better word, against his normal and play these kids. He's going to end up having to do that. Okay. And then in the summer, you're going to see changes. Now the changes, I'm not sure. Definitely these three vets, I'm telling you, Fournier, Kemba Walker, and probably Burks are going to be gone. And Burks is a good player. Don't get me wrong. I love Alec Burks as a fourth quarter dude. I mean, you've seen him even against Portland, even against when it's fourth quarter time, Burks comes through. That's his game, man. He's not a great player, but he's a very good clutch player, especially in the fourth quarter. Then there have been times he hasn't come through. That's why I'm saying he's not a great NBA player, but he's an NBA player and he's a closer. But I want Cam to get those minutes, and I want Deuce to get those minutes. And I'm sure, I'm believing that Leon wants that too. Especially after Tibbs pushed to get Deuce McBride. And he pushed to get Grimes. So that's what we're going to see. Now, in the next 5 games, if they win 5, you'll see it continue. They're going to continue with the same squad. If they win 5. Or win even 4 out of 5. If they do pretty good, these next 2 games, like tonight they got, who they got tonight? They got tonight, who they playing? I think they playing Oklahoma City, which we can't sleep on. I think Oklahoma City's already beat our behind once, right? So we can't sleep on them either. So we got Oklahoma City, and then they got Brooklyn. This is going to be a really good test. They got Oklahoma City tonight, Brooklyn on Wednesday. Then there's the All-Star break, so they can get healed up, bring D Rose back. Then you play Miami at the Garden. Then you play in Philadelphia at the Garden. And then that's a home and home. And then you go back and play at Philly. There you go. There's your 5 games. If we get stomped 3 out of those 5, or we have big leads and losing again, then you're going to see some changes. It's not going to take long though, because, they didn't make the deals at the deadline. Leon did not want to give up picks. He wanted picks, and apparently he was pushing too hard for the picks, and that Toronto deal fell through, and they sent homie out to San Antonio instead of sending that contract to the Knicks. So he's not giving up picks, and apparently he's not trading Mitchell Robinson. Apparently, so they should just sign him. I mean, I don't think we lose the Portland game if Mitchell Robinson was healthy the whole game. He hurt his ankle. His back was hurt from the previous game. And he's still out there battling, but he wasn't himself. It was obvious. And he was in pain. So he had to sit. But that's the difference. If Mitchell Robinson plays that game for the fourth quarter, we probably win that game. The Knicks could not get an offensive rebound to save their life. And Mitchell Robinson was the best offensive rebounds in the NBA. Period. This year. Okay. So they need to just sign him and quit playing around. Offer him the contract and see if he takes it or doesn't take it. This whole cat and mouse thing is getting a little ridiculous. So, that's that. People talk about what he does. He's not a shooter or whatever. Okay. Let's give him he's 23. Can we give him a summer to try to develop that? He's now, this is the first season he's played this full season. He couldn't work out last season at all, last summer, at all. Okay. So he couldn't work with Kenny Payne last summer to get some offensive moves in. He's still 23. You know, you got a few years here. And he's obviously shown the flashes of the ability to put the ball on the floor and to shoot. So some of y'all tripping about he can't, you know, he's not Nurkic. Nurkic ain't him either. So I'm saying, I would sign him and work on him on the summer. That's where you put the work in. Because he's got the talent. If you tell me Mitchell Robinson can consistently shoot a 12 to 15 foot jump shot, which I believe he can. He got the talent to do that. It's a wrap. It's a wrap at that point. Really is. It's a wrap. And then if he could put the ball on the floor like he has shown us this year from that point and get to the basket with one dribble and what he does with the defense, it's a wrap. See? So you sign him and you deal with him after you work with him. The only problem, the risk I would see is twofold. Number one, injury, obviously. Number two, we don't want him to be like Julius, get the money and then all of a sudden don't work no more. That's the thing. I can't tell you, he doesn't look like that type of guy, but I can't say. Money changes people, changes everybody. So I don't know. We have to see. And that's the risk you would take with any young center. Okay. Is he going to be Jarrett Allen and continue to get better? Right? Or is he going to be, what's that guy's name? There was a guy that led the NBA in rebounding and he led the NBA in block shots. He signed $100 million deal and you ain't really heard from him since, you know? You ain't really seen him since. What's this cat's name? He played for Utah now. Let me find it. Yeah, he played for Utah now. And he had been on Miami and he had been on a couple of teams, man. And he had bad Hassan Whiteside. Talent? Guy got talent all over the place, man. And when he signed a $96 million deal with Miami, he has not been the same. It changes someplace. Whereas Jarrett Allen signed a $100 million deal and he kept getting better and ends up now on the third best team in the East in Cleveland. So, I don't know. I'm hoping Mitchell Robinson's character is such that he continues to work hard if he gets this $56 million. But, you know, we'll see. Okay. So we're going to see some changes. That's what I'm going to tell you. Either the coach is going to change, the lineup's going to change. Something's going to change. It's not going to stay this way. And how I know that is, listen, if you've been a Knicks fan, and you don't have to go back to the 70s, all you got to go back to is the Dolan era. That's all you needed. The Dolan era. You don't need to go past that. So let's say 20 years, right? In the Dolan era, he will sit tight. He will sit tight. He will sit tight. And he'll listen. He does. He makes moves based on what he's hearing in the media and the fans. Y'all yell loud enough. He hears you. He's trying to give the keys to Leon, like he tried to give the keys to Phil Jackson. That was a mistake, but he was trying to give up operational power and let Phil Jackson handle everything. But Phil mucked it up. So now he's giving it to Leon. He's going to approach Leon. I wouldn't be surprised if he already did. And then that's going to put pressure on Leon to tell Tom, this is what we're doing. Okay? Because Dolan, he's only quiet but for so long. All right? I wasn't worried about him early in the season, but now we're going to see what happens. So between Dolan and Leon and Tibbs, something going to give. And I think at the end of the day, it's one of two ways. This next 5 or 6 games. That's it. And you're going to see, that's going to tell you what's going to happen the rest of the season. Because 5 games from now, you're at 62 games. At that point, you got 19 games left. That's it. Okay? 19 games. So I'm saying between 19 and 20 games, they're going to decide to go with these kids if they don't get any better. Because and I don't think they're going to get any better. Just like I said, you're going to see flashes of a Golden State game followed by a Portland game. That's what you're going to see. Okay? And especially with that murderous road trip they got coming up, that's exactly how they're going to play. They just came off this road trip 1-4 with a tremendous game against Golden State in San Francisco and losing the other 4. 2 of them, they were really tired. And then they just gave up a squandered a lead because that's about their ceiling. against a young Portland team. And y'all can, and hopefully y'all can put the rest of this let's go get Anthony Simon stuff as if he's going to be available. And I told y'all, he ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere. Okay? Why would he? Would you trade him? You'd be fired too. You crazy? No. He did his Dame Dollar imitation against the Knicks. And this kid is really good. I knew he was good coming out of IMG. He's really good. Okay. And you ain't seen Lascelles Little. Lascelles Little hurt for the year, but he's another up and comer. He's a baby Dennis Rodman, man. So I'm saying they're going to build around these two kids. Okay. And with that, in Journeyman, they beat the Knicks. They come back from 23 down to beat the Knicks. Okay. So yeah, Simons ain't going nowhere. You can forget him. It ain't like, let's just go get him. And some of you, we need to draft Ivy. Let's hope we in the position to draft Ivy. If we draft in 15th, we ain't drafting Ivy. Y'all got to chill a minute, man. You got to see where we at. Not only that, let's scout like 10, 12 players. He ain't the only guy out there. Y'all get buying the hype. Okay, let's just scout a lot of players. Let's see what's out there. You know, so a lot of y'all didn't know nothing about no Quentin Grimes last year. Right? Y'all was tripping about this Cam Thomas and this guy and that guy. And we got to go get this guy and that guy. And Grimes is out there. And I'm glad we got him. Right? There's another one out there. We're going to find it. Okay? I'm not saying Ivy's not a good player. But I'm saying let's not, stop looking for saviors. And that's the problem I have with Berman. He got that angle. Always blockbuster deal for a savior. Let's get a savior in here. Who's going to save the Knicks? The Knicks has to have an organization for long-term sustainable winning. That's how you will save the Knicks. You have to have an organization, a 5-year plan. 5-year plan. Look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. You need a 5-year plan. Okay? Not a 1-year plan, not a blockbuster deal plan. A 5-year plan. That means like right now, you got Jericho Sims, Deuce McBride, Joe Kubitis coming, and you got Grimes, right? Over the course of their rookie deals, this next 4 years, because you've already had some guys. You got your Mitchell Robinson. You got your RJ Barrett. You got guys already. Obi Toppin. You got your IQ. Over the next 4 years, you plan on getting to where Cleveland is. Y'all ready for that? See, so that's the problem. The media and some of y'all be like, no, we can't wait that long. We waited 20 years. That's because we were 20 years trying to do it quickly, trying to do it yesterday. And that's why we got behind. Trying to win now and get blockbuster deals. Trying to hope we get a savior. It doesn't work. LeBron caused a lot of people to be spoiled. Because he goes to, when he went to Miami, he brought crew, with D-Wade, got with Bosh, and they won championship. Then he came to Cleveland, and it's the same formula. You get a superstar to join you, maybe two. In his case, it was Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, and then they get a whole bunch of minimum contracts, they win the championship. He does the same thing in Los Angeles. He gets Anthony Davis, he gets a whole bunch of minimum contracts, he wins the championship. That's what he does. But there's no more LeBrons there's no LeBron that we get. So we got to do it the way San Antonio did it. They drafted David Robinson. Then 4 or 5 years later, they get Tim Duncan. They win the championship. They draft Emmanuel Ginobili. They draft the point guard out of France. They put together one of the best defenses in the NBA. They win championships. Okay? You got to do it like that. Dallas drafts Nowitzki. And they wait a long time. They putting teams around him. And then 10, 11 years later, they won the championship. Okay? That's how you got to do it. You got to build an organization. Okay? Stop with the saviors. We don't need a savior. We need an organization. We need development. We got the talent to do all that now. We just got to do it. Okay? The mistake was you got a coach that wants to win now with vets, and you got a team and you got a staff that's a development team and staff. So the Knicks got to figure this out. And I think they will. That's why I say you're going to see something happen right after the All-Star break. These 2 games right here going to tell us something. If they can win these 2 games, that's going to give momentum going into the break. If they don't, you're going to see what happens after the break. And it don't get easier. They could beat Brooklyn because Ben Simmons not playing yet. I don't think Ben Simmons, if you see him, it'll be the first game against the Knicks. He might come back then. But probably will be after the All-Star break. And then they're going to be Brooklyn. I think you got to watch Brooklyn. They're going to be rough because they're going to have, if they get Simmons with Durant and Irving, they're going to be rough. They're going to be rough. So I don't know. This Wednesday, we have a possibility. Let's call it 2 lottery teams, because without Simmons and Durant, the Nets are a lottery team. So you got Oklahoma City and the Nets. We should beat both of those teams. We should beat both of those teams. But we're going to see what happens. That's what we're going to see. So to be continued, Knicks Nation. To be continued. Starting tonight against Oklahoma City. We're going to see what happens. Have a good Monday. Shalom.